Hey there! So today I'm showing how I dyed this wig for my Mystique cosplay, and it was actually easier than I thought it would be. And it really honestly was just a simple follow of the instructions on this wonderful bottle of synthetic dye by Rit. Between the two colors you see here, I ended up choosing the apricot orange to get the more red look I thought would be more ideal for my Mystique look. I had an old wig. I didn't care about what happened to it, so that's the wig I'm using today, with some hair extensions that I got for real cheap on Shein that I'm going to be adding to the front of this wig, because as you can see with that wig, there is like an ombre going on, and Mystique doesn't have an ombre hairstyle, so I'm gonna just cover it up with these hair extensions I have here. I made sure all the hair pieces were nicely combed out already. No knots, no tangling involved. Everything's combed out and ready to go for this whole process. And nothing in there is meltable in terms of like any highly flammable risk per se, because there is hot water involved with the Rit instructions on dyeing whatever synthetic product you choose to do. The Rit dye, as you'll see on the instructions of the bottle and their website, where they tell you all kinds of instructions for all different types of materials you can use the dye with. It's typically for materials that can take the heat, are known to be dyeable, things of that nature. One would not really think of a wig for something like this, so keep in mind, like, the instructions are assuming you would be doing like a synthetic fabric. So as you can see in this lovely pot here, I've added some water. This is a pot that I personally don't use often. We have a whole nother pot set, so did not mind using this for this whole process. So as advised with the directions on the Rit dye, I'm adding a spoonful of liquid dish soap to my water, and it advises you to use a stovetop so you can maintain the high temperature needed for this process. So I kept it at about a 7. Didn't want it to get too high. Didn't want it to get to like boiling, but keep it at a good high temperature. Shake, shake, shaking the bottle, making sure the mixture is all good, ready to go, as advised. I added as much of the dye as I saw fit. Typically with this, you're going to mix whatever fabric or wig in this case into the water until it gets to the color that you desire, and mixing to make sure it's taking in the dye. I thought the amount of dye I put in would be a good amount for the amount of hair I'm about to add to the pot and to really get the color that I desire. So I want to say maybe I put like a quarter of the bottle. I didn't have to really use that much. Then I just mix the dye around in the water, making sure it's distributing throughout okay. And then we're going to go ahead and add the hair, doing the extensions first, the smaller pieces. And I was just careful to also make sure that I wasn't getting like the stray hairs like hanging over the side to touch like the stovetop itself, avoid anything excessively burning and or hazards. So I did the small pieces first and then added the bigger piece, the wig, on top. And I pushed it in there. Wanted to get it really submerged. I took my time to basically submerge it before mixing everything in there. And I did it for about 30 minutes. I went on and off with the mixing, but it stayed in the water for about 30 minutes, I'd say. And then every few minutes, I would just check to see, like, oh, is that the color I'm going for? Are we there yet? And then there was at some point where it's like it was the color, but I'm like, I wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna wash out at the end. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna keep in here a little longer and make sure, like, if anything, it's redder than it needs to be. I rather that than lighter. Totally made a mini mess. Totally made a little mess around the stove top, but easy cleanup. And it wasn't too hot touching that piece of hair you see me touching here. I let it cool off at the side for a bit first. But it really almost felt like I was making like a wig soup. It was kind of weird. But after it was all done, I went to the bathroom, secured like the sink, made sure there wasn't too much clutter, so I can like safely pour out the hot water out of this pot. And in case anyone is worried of this, it came right out of the sink. Like it was very easy to wash out. Didn't stain the sink at all. I also had bleach ready on the side. Worst case scenario, but I was expecting it to wash right out. So easy cleanup when you get to this part. I don't remember why there was a fork to the side there though. I'm not quite sure what that was about, but don't mind that. And so with the hair, as you can see here, I just had some cold water running off it, getting all that excess dye off as anticipated. So it should be in the red head like area I wanted it. It's almost kind of weird saying red head, orange. Like I'm mixing up the orange red hair. You know what I'm trying to say. But rinsing off any of the excess dye off of it before I wring it out to hang in the shower, where I'm gonna let it air dry overnight so the color really settles. So here we are the next day. It dried out. This is the color I got, and I was very happy with it. Actually came out much better than I thought it would, actually getting the color I was going for. Obviously, you can see the hair got a little trashy, a little naughty. It's going to need the comb. So I'm going to comb them out in a second, but had to inspect and make sure that I wasn't going to throw them back into the pot to try getting it to a darker shade and anything of that nature. I was pretty satisfied with the color I got on the extensions and the wig. So it worked out pretty great. So then I combed it out, took a big tooth comb. I suggest that for the synthetic wigs, unless like it somehow gets really, really naughty, doing the fine tooth comb and working your way from the end upwards. But I just took the big tooth comb and I was able to comb it out pretty well. And it looks like I'm violently like handling this hair, but I swear it's actually very easy and simple to manipulate. Honestly, very good hair from Sheen. And this is the final look after it's combed, fluffed, color settled in. I was very satisfied with how it came out, and I had so much fun with it in the Mystique look. Putting in the extension themselves and styling it on myself is a whole nother story. I might cover that later, but anyway, thanks for watching, guys.